Why did we ever decide to get married?
I guess we were afraid it would mean something if we didn't. I'm sorry to have done that to you.
I'm sorry to have done that to you. You know the funny part?
Is there a funny part?
We were perfectly happy before we decided to live happily ever after.
Guess the joke's on us.
I'm Vanessa Zoltan.
And I'm Helen Zaltzman.
And this is Hot and Bothered. So, Helen, I will summarize the end of the Sex and the City movie, and then we will discuss it. Are you ready?
Oh, yes.
Please feel free to interrupt and add or subtract anything. So, Carrie finds out that Big has been writing to her, but she can't figure out where they are. Then she unlocks emails, and Big has typed out great love letters from other men to other women to Carrie because he doesn't know what to say. And one of the emails says, I don't know what to say, but I will love you forever. And then she gets a phone call from Louise and is like, those Manolo Blahniks of yours are at the apartment and you have 1 hour to get them. It's like a heist. It's like you have to get the shoes before the keys get changed.
And Louise couldn't have reminded her with more than an hour to go?
No.
Okay.
And so she goes, she opens the closet door. Big is there. She runs into his arms and says, it wasn't logic, it was love. Then we cut to some time later. They're snuggling on the floor of their closet. Well, not their closet. Someone else owns this closet now. They're like, we should get up. Carrie says, you know what's sad or what's funny is that we were perfectly happy before we decided to live happily ever after. Big is like, yeah, and I should have proposed romantically. He proposes romantically. He's on one knee. He puts on a Manolo Blahnik because he doesn't have a diamond ring. Then we cut to them at a city hall wedding. There are other brides and grooms behind them waiting to get married, and they get married. She's in her suit. Then Big whispers in her ear a quote from Beethoven, ever thine, ever mine, ever ours, I think. And then he's like, are you sad the girls weren't here? And she's like, no, just you and me. And they open the doors and Charlotte, Miranda, and Samantha are there in the same colors of their bridesmaids' dresses.
Oh, good spot. I missed that.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
And they're all screaming as if they don't see each other all the time anyway.
Yes, screaming. Then they go for a very unromantic breakfast because we know breakfast is the least romantic meal. Jennifer Hudson sings over them. All the couples are happy, including Samantha and her dog who's humping something in the little dog bag. And then we follow the women to Samantha's 50th birthday dinner where they all drink Cosmos. And there's this knowing like, oh, Cosmos, we made Cosmos famous as a show. And here we are drinking Cosmos conversation. And they say, here's to the next 50 years, to Samantha, 50 and fabulous. And it ends really, it's supposed to be about the four of them, no men. They are out happy, the four of them. And empowered, Samantha is single and fabulous.
With the randy little dog.
With the randy little dog.
Which is supposed to represent her, I guess.
And presumably having lost the 10 pounds she gained.
Well, they wouldn't still be friends with her if she was still carrying that 10 pounds.
Yeah.
I think it's quite surprising in a positive way that the fan service of them drinking Cosmos is delayed for nearly all of the film. Well done, film. Very restrained. I did find it quite sweet and romantic. I hate that this film made me appreciate Big as one of the few reasonable seeming people where he was spooked by big things, you know, the performance of marriage and so on. But maybe it's bleakly realistic that the reason why they agreed to get married in the first place in this very non-proposal style proposal is because of property. It wasn't because of romance. Carrie didn't seem super fussed about marriage, and he doesn't seem super fussed about committed relationships. And the ceremony they had reflected the pragmatism of that. That and the suit.
Yeah, it's just, does it feel like he wants Carrie to be his secret wife? That he's like ashamed of her?
How old is he, the character?
He's in his 50s.
Like, is he just thinking, okay, well, I'm going to need a carer in another 15 years or so. She will probably stick around. I don't know. I mean, it's not a fantasy, and I kind of admire that choice. But I also wonder for why. If this film is really for the fans, and I think it is, even though it resists fan service in a lot of ways. And it presents this fantasy life for nearly all of them. Like, everyone is living in extremely expensive ways, and there's just like no mention of things maybe unaffordable. Like, how is Carrie buying her apartment back at a bigger price? It never wants to be troubled by this question of how. But
except when it does.
I can't get into a fantasy that is like so ungrounded. Yes, except for when it does, where the instigator for their first wedding that doesn't happen is because she doesn't want to live in a property that he owns that she wouldn't have any rights over.
Right.
That's why they choose to get married. She doesn't want her boyfriend to be her landlord. She wants her husband to be her landlord.
Yeah.
Do you think it's cynical or just realistic? Or is it just these characters are in their 40s and maybe they're really in the is that all there is phase of life that I find myself in right now at 45?
Yeah. Or just like everyone has their baggage, and like his baggage is his last wedding was written about in the paper and failed spectacularly, and he finds it embarrassing and like thought she understood that, and she didn't understand that because he didn't quite articulate it, and he is excited to marry her, and he would have figured out a way to get out of the limo and into the library to marry her, but he, you know, did get spooked by all these things. I don't know, right? Like, we do all have our like our shit. I think that it bothers me because of the inconsistency. The like, I proposed in such a perfunctory business manner last time. I'm going to fix that this time. And then they still get married at City Hall. I don't know what any of it means to them. And I guess it seems to me, this is what bothers me, Helen. It seems to me like Carrie is still making herself small for him at the end.
Yes. Is the fantasy merely, well, now he's legally in this relationship. That's it. It's not celebration of love. It's not things that signify love. It is just, yeah, got him.
Yeah.
What is there to this man? What is the appeal apart from he's hard to pin down and he's rich, so there's certain things she doesn't have to worry about? Like, what other characteristics does he have?
He adores her?
Does he? Like, I mean, historically, bit or not?
He thinks she's funny.
She's funny.
Apparently the sex is good. I don't think that we get to know him.
No, but does she? Or is he just, some release from a practical life and practical concerns, and she gets to be the feathery bird on his metaphorical head? You know, she gets to be his ornament, and she's younger and more fun than him. And for him, he gets loved by someone who seems almost impossible to drive away. And was the ultimate appeal of her the fact that he did manage to drive her away for a year?
To me, I feel like the show again and again had ways that Big liked things beige, and Carrie was too curly-haired and loud for him. And like that was a recurring theme. And so that at the end of the movie, she again has had to make herself small in some way, just does not feel to me like any kind of progress. If he loves her, let her have a dumb big wedding. It's stupid and embarrassing, but like.
Right, you just got to show up for like 4 hours.
Yeah. So I think that that's why the end of this feels so bad to me.
Yeah.
Is that I do feel like she's just made herself small again.
Yeah.
And that he gets to even take credit for her friends being at her wedding.
Right. Yes. Where he's like, big surprise, I did the bare minimum. But also, yes, you're right. With the first wedding, he's presumably the one paying for it. And he's also a fairly controlling character. So how did it get so far from him? Unless he's like, you know what, for once, I'm going to let her do what she wants. Oh, no, run.
Yeah.
I do wish that we had got to see their big penthouse apartment with their stuff in it, because I wanted to see what would happen with the clash of his style and hers, like his kind of boring executive style and her thrifty decor colors.
Well, you can watch Sex and the City too for that reason.
I shan't.
Yeah, well, that's the only upside of watching it.
So wait, do they rebuy that apartment?
No, they get a more modest apartment.
Okay,
but
good.
It is decorated very interestingly.
Uh-huh.
Helen, another thing about the ending, right, is early in the movie, we have Carrie reading to Lily, Cinderella. And Lily, Charlotte's, well, I guess, like 3-year-old, loves Cinderella, and Carrie finishes it and is like, they lived happily ever after. Lily, you know that this isn't how love really works, right? Love isn't a fairy tale. And Lily just goes, again. And so they read it again. And then Lily sends Carrie a Valentine, and it's a Cinderella Valentine that says just in time. Like, and then at the end, Big puts a shoe on Carrie, right? Like, and the shoe fits perfectly. And it's, again, this like just in time, right? Because of the 6 o'clock deadline, like right before midnight, like they're able to get back together. And so it again is doing this thing that we talked about in the last episode of like saying, fairy tales aren't real, Lily. You know that, right? While in theory serving us a fairy tale. Is it trying to give us a compromised version to be like, see, we're not part of the problem. We're showing you that true love is a compromise.
It does love that. And the thing is, the one relationship in this that is theoretically the happily ever after is Charlotte and Harry. And you see him for like 3 seconds. This film is not interested in showing happily ever after. It's interested in showing Miranda going through a marital crisis. And I think it doesn't even interrogate that particularly deeply. And it shows Samantha being bored of being in a stable relationship in a place she doesn't particularly want to live. So I think also it's not really saying what Carrie and Big have is a fairy tale, because to everyone that isn't Carrie, it seems wretched.
Yeah.
And yet we're supposed to accept that. I feel it's like, well, ladies, here's some misery, but we put shoes on it, so you're gonna love it. That was what marketing culture to women was like at this time.
I will say one of the things that feels nice about this movie is that Charlotte is married and can manage to get a bikini wax, but because she doesn't work, and Samantha works and can get a bikini wax because she isn't married with a kid, Miranda doesn't have time because she both works and is a mom. And I'm like, that feels true, that you can't have it all.
Right. She's very busy. And
she's very busy.
Why would she necessarily care? Like, where's the refutation that this is something that she must care about? Like, why are we letting that idea just be the only idea? You know, Miranda's a lawyer. There's a lot of things where she could discuss them, but she doesn't. Like with Steve, she's more in combat mode. And I kind of would have liked to have seen her prosecute in the pube scene.
Yeah. And like they're on a private beach. They're not even like, I'm pro pubes everywhere, but like they're not even with other people. They are just amongst their friends.
Yeah.
And so it is interesting. This is a movie that believes that women cannot have a career, a husband and a child and be happy.
Well, it'd be too much if they did, and then they'd have to shit themselves.
Yeah.
Just to teach them a lesson.
What do you make of this like final birthday dinner for Samantha?
That, to me, felt like, did you need it after you've had the wedding breakfast?
Yeah.
Do you need another meal and then to pan out to show all these groups of 4 women strutting
four.
around New York? There was one group of 3, and I think some of them were men. You know, just to show friendship comes in all shapes and all forms as long as they're thin and white.
Yeah.
I suppose the final scene with Samantha's birthday is just to ram home the point that the friends are really the one true pairing. But you've already had that in that Carrie seems more excited to see her friends after getting married than about getting married.
Yeah, it feels like they're like, look, feminism. It does not feel earned in any way.
I think the culture at this time was still quite embarrassed by feminism. It was a time where like pop stars still refused to self-identify with that word. It was a few years off Beyonce standing in front of the word feminism because at that time it was marketable, but not in 2008, I think. It was still like, but we've had feminism because you had Sex and the City, the TV show. So what more do you want?
I'm wondering what you think about this. It isn't logic, it's love.
Yeah. What are they trying to say with that? I suppose they've already defeated logic so many times in the course of this relationship because the relationship goes against reason. She's been in pain so many times because of it. It doesn't seem to have much of a functional aspect, and yet it still goes. But the thing is, a long-term relationship does need, I wouldn't necessarily describe it as logic, but it's a certain successful machinery because you're not driven by love all the time. It's certainly nice to have, but I would say that the success of a lot of long-term relationships, it's not what forms all of it. Like there have to be ways in which you function day to day together that are very practical. So good luck to them.
I really do wish that there was an actual grovel scene here. I feel like the emails in the inbox and her realizing that like she let the wedding get bigger than big, and then her finding these old emails feels like an insufficient grovel to me.
Yeah.
If we're supposed to believe that she was so humiliated that she couldn't feed herself.
Yes, the emails which are him copying the love letters of great men from the library book that she had been reading in the first act of the film. So he probably did have to type them out at the time. He couldn't have just like taken a photo and then like dragged his cursor over the text and pasted it into the email. Sure. And I do think Big probably types single fingered, so perhaps it took him quite a while.
He hadn't pecs. You don't think that he had one of his secretaries do it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Probably did. It feels like a nice gesture compared to absolutely nothing.
Yes.
But I don't think it is the foundation of a real relationship. And even taking Charlotte to hospital, you know, I would do that for someone that I didn't know particularly well because it's fairly urgent.
I'm just imagining being Miranda and getting the call, I ran into him and we're getting back together.
Yeah, I would just be livid. And I think Samantha would be too. And at the beginning where Carrie's calling up Samantha going, I'm getting married. And she's like, oh, I was hoping you're getting Botox. I thought that's the reaction this news deserves. And Samantha doesn't want to be maid of honor. But she still is. And she makes this speech at the rehearsal dinner, which isn't even about Carrie. It's just about Big. I know. I felt like that part is not the response Samantha would have. Like, I think she would show cynicism and barely participate. I think Miranda, I think all of them, you know, Charlotte would be busy having just given birth. But I think even she would be like, yeah, it's cool he did that. But still, look at all these other things he did. Because I think Charlotte bears grudges.
She was so upset by the sight of him that her water broke.
Yeah. And she'd been storing up this speech, like rehearsing this speech in her mind for such a long time. So I don't think one act of service would counteract all of that for all of them.
And it's not even a real act of service. I'm like, you wanted to talk to her? You know where she lives, dude.
Yeah, you didn't even retrieve her shoes from the apartment that you probably have been in at some point during the breakup. Like, you could have got the shoes because it's the only thing in there. It's not like you're going to miss them. And then post them to her. But then what would have been a decent redemption? I feel like groveling again is like, it's performative and you forgive someone just that they'll stop. But what would be a meaningful form of contrition?
I mean, I want an actual conversation about why he freaked out and why it'll be different this time, but he actually wants to marry her. Like, what happened? And the fact that there's never an acknowledgement of what happened. And so the story we are given is Carrie's of like, I let the wedding get bigger than big. And it was actually her fault.
Yeah. With a side order of Miranda's fault. For
Right.
saying marriage ruins everything, which is also a false statement because the same thing could have happened if she and Steve had not been married, but they'd been together for several years and were co-parenting.
Right.
Like, the characters in this film sometimes act as if marriage is a transformational act to a relationship that has already been going for a while. Whereas the reason Big and Carrie decide to get married in the first place is demonstration in a way that it isn't.
Right. If you could change one thing about this ending, what would you change?
I would change it to Carrie and Big reconcile as friends in that she's put it behind her and she's not hurting anymore, but she doesn't need or want him. And she decides to live single and enjoy her own company undefined by a man. I want her to have a new beginning.
That would have healed me.
And I think now maybe you'd get it.
Imagine how satisfying that would have been.
Yeah, maybe at the time not. They were like, no, everything has to end with a baby and a wedding. It's still actually very conventional now. Like Succession had several weddings towards the end of a season. And even Succession can't get away from that as the forceful part of narrative.
Yeah.
What about a romantic comedy? So I'm being naive to think it could have been thus. Well, how would you rewrite this ending, Vanessa?
I'm so bothered by this. Sorry. You win. Your answer is the correct answer.
Yes.
If I'm going to stay within the logic of the movie, I would like for them to have a wedding. Like, I think she can be in the suit, but not at City Hall. I would like for it to actually be a compromise. He says, I wanted City Hall, and she wanted the New York Public Library. Have a nice little affair in a garden.
Sure.
In what world does Carrie want to get married without her 3 best friends? It really just does feel like she is willing to take whatever he will give her and that she will make no demands. And it is his benevolence. Oh, don't worry, babe. I'll buy us this apartment. Like, but she cannot actually make any demands. And that just bums me out too much, Helen.
Well, because he's a big gestures guy. So he can be like, well, I did the big gestures, so you can't ask for anything else. What more do you need? I did the big gesture.
Yeah.
Why do you need maintenance as well? I know people like that. And that's not how most humans respond to their own emotional needs. But you're right, that would have been quite nice if they had had their original wedding where it was 75 guests. Yes. And maybe she could have worn the suit as a going away suit and something a little more Carrie for the main part. And other friends, like you see Stanford and Anthony, they could come.
Yeah.
Do some fan service by digging up some minor characters from the TV series that are probably still in her life off screen. Does Big have friends?
He has that guy who's mean to him.
Wow. I mean, maybe a reason why Big doesn't want to have a wedding is that he knows that people would find that he's just a hollow shell of a man with no real existence, spiritually or emotionally. To have to invite all his business associates, and that would be glaringly obvious.
Helen Zaltzman, thank you so much for coming on.
Well,
next time we have you on, let's talk about something less depressing.
Yeah, I think I've just made you more sad. Sorry.
You really have.
Oh.
You've made me more sad.
Bummer.
Knowing that you exist makes me happy.
Aww.
So there's that.
Aww.
But this was a bummer.
It certainly became one the way we approached it. And I didn't hate watching it.
Me neither.
I went in feeling fairly neutral, and I had a 2.5 star time, 2.5 to 3 star time, I'd say. But this makes it sound like I had a -1 star time.
It just made me sad. I would rewatch it on mute right now.
Yeah. Just flick through a photo book of it.
I would flip through a photo book of it right now. That is what I would do. Everyone, if you want more of Helen with less of a bummer, go listen to The Illusionist and Answer Me This. And Helen, thank you so much for coming back on Hot and Bothered.
Thank you.
You changed the way I watched 2005 Pride and Prejudice, and now you've changed the way I'll think about Sex and the City. So thank you.
Such power.
You're so powerful. I know. You've been listening to Hot and Bothered. Come on over to our Patreon. It's a party over there, and you're all invited. If you want to hear Helen and I talk about this super awkward Valentine's Day dinner between Carrie and Miranda, you can only hear that on our Patreon at patreon.com/hotandbotheredrompod. We are a Not Sorry production. I'm the executive producer, and we are edited and produced by Ariana Nettleman and distributed by Acast. A huge, huge thank you to the absolutely brilliant and truly iconic Helen Zaltzman. And thanks as always to our soulmates. Molly Reilly, who we would chase through an airport to declare our love to, Elizabeth Schweinsberg, whose heart we would play a game of one-on-one basketball for, Lauren Byer O'Connell, who we would call up on stage to dance with us in front of the whole summer camp, Avi Lichtenstein, who we would make every person in the kingdom try on a shoe for, Kristen Hall, who we would travel through a time portal to spend the 19th century with, Shiri Yadlin, who we would write a sonnet about and then read it in front of the whole class, Delia Rose, who we are majorly, totally, but crazy in love with, and Leia Goldberg, who we would carry on our backs as we jump from tree to tree like a little spider monkey. And our wonderful team, Julia Argy, Nikki Zoltan, AJ Ramos, Courtney Brown, Danny Langley, Anissa Ahmed, and Stephanie Paulsell.